I'm Roger Thaxton, and this is my why. I'm one of 4 men of faith, and my other brothers are Minister Wayne Wally, Minister Kevin Chandler, Minister Greg Barnes. Men of faith is important to me because of a journey that I had from childhood to now. The journey took me back some ways. When I was coming up, my father taught us strong ethics of work. And in school, we had to earn our way through. We had to earn excellence because my father wouldn't accept anything less. So while I was in school, my grades stayed up. But as I got older, at a teenage age, I got involved in automobiles, hot rods, and I enjoyed the performance of hot rods. And my father taught me all he knew to help my abilities to excel in hot rods. So, wanting to do more, I spent more time in developing my technique and building fast cars. Well, that was good for a while, and it lasted for a while. But my father then became upset with me because my grades started failing. And I had no options. It was either quit school or quit hot rods. I chose the latter and continued in school. And then there was an opportunity that was afforded to me to where I felt like I could do both. The Marine Corps recruiter came to the school and he said, there's an opportunity for all the young men in the school to further their education, get an opportunity to excel in whatever it is you endeavor to do, whether it be sports, academics, or whatever. But we offer you this opportunity. So I read it, took it home, showed it to my parents. They chucked at it, said, no, this ain't for you. We want you to finish school. So as I continue to work on the automobiles that I enjoyed, continue to get involved with some of the hot rod owners, I started failing in school more drastically. And it came to a point where I had to make a decision. I was either going to quit school and run away from home or join the Marine Corps. And I took the brochure home from the Marine Corps and I showed it to my parents. My dad told me, no, it's not an option. He said, but the second thing is, if you quit school, you have nowhere to live because you can't stay here. So I had no option. I had not an option. So I joined the Marine Corps, only to find out that what my dad had been telling me all along was so very true. I found myself out in California, all alone, no family around. I only had myself and my ability to depend on. And my dad told me that's what it was going to come to. So I relied on what he'd already taught me, the skills of developing myself, taking on all that I could challenge, all that I could receive from what they had to offer, and developing that into a technical experience. Well, while I was in the Marine Corps, they saw that in me, how I grasped to learn, and they instilled more in me, and they placed me in a position of leadership. And from that, I started to grow in the Marine Corps. And that took me to areas that I thought I would never be in, to the point where, they placed me in a leadership position. Well, in a leadership position, you got to do one or two things. You got to lead positively or get out. So I tried to stay in that positive leading position. And I led to what my ability allowed me to do. And I excelled in technical abilities. Didn't know I had it in me, but it was instilled in me from my father and didn't realize it at the time. But as I started to excel, they put me in higher positions of technology. Thought I would never grasp it, but I grasped it and excelled even higher, to the point where they wanted to put me in OCS, Officer Candidate School. Wasn't ready for it, didn't think nothing of it. Just wanted to keep doing what I was doing, because now I've gained some friendship in a NASCAR stock racing relationship. And we was out in Orange County, California, racing those rail cars and funny cars and all those cars. And I mean, it just thrilled me, going from field to field, from race to race, and seeing things I'd never seen in my life. And I started to excel even higher. But there was a point where that excelling was starting to hurt my Marine Corps career. They wanted me to be an officer. I wanted to be a NASCAR builder. And the two didn't jive at all. They conflict with one another. So I had to make a choice again. And I chose to stay in the Marine Corps. Put aside the NASCAR building, but the technology stayed with me to the point they put me in a field where I was working on extreme technology, range finders and the navigational systems that was just coming out. And I was intrigued by that. But they saw the leadership ability in me that I never saw in myself. God had instilled something in me that I'd never seen before. But at this point, it awakened in me. And I started to want to share this technology with other people, how they could change their lives by just simply getting involved with stuff that they didn't understand or things that they didn't know. And an experience that would change your life forever. And I started to share with my Marines that I was in charge of. And they started developing their skills, and that whole battalion became elite. And our commanding general saw that. And he came in and he did some changes in the Marine Corps and put in some programs that we as Black Marines had never been entitled to. So that made a profound effect in my life. And from that point, I saw how important it was to lead people positively. And then, you know, it evolved into a thing where I thought, you know, it was just, to me, it was just simple. You know, you teach what you know. But to someone that didn't know what we knew, it was a life-changing experience. So as I transitioned from the Marine Corps into community life, family life, that set came with me, that ethic of teaching came with me, that leadership came with me. I can't help it. But then God started dealing with me. He said it was all for a purpose. It was all a plan. Now that same leadership ability that I used in Marine Corps, God uses now to help people, to give people a different experience in the way I talk, in the way I walk, in the way I introduce myself, in the way that I teach people about who God is and what He has done for me and how He could do the same for other people. It has a profound effect on my life. And I've talked to some people that I've introduced them to God, and it has that same effect on their lives. So I'm understanding today that if we just teach what we've been taught and show what God has shown us, the world can't help but accept it because the world can't deny it. Now, I've told you a lot about myself, but let me tell you about some things that may help somebody that may be struggling with some other things. Sure, it may seem like my life may have been on a rose bed of petals, but it wasn't. Because of all the accomplishments I made when I was in the Marine Corps, there were some that I didn't make when I got out. My transition from the Marine Corps to my back home life wasn't so rosy. The girl that I met, my high school sweetheart that I thought we would be lifetime pals, buddies, friends. Well, when I got out of the Marine Corps, we were supposed to get married on the 4th of July. On the 3rd of July, she told me if I went to my bachelor's party, that she wouldn't be there for me when I got back. Being a challenge, I talked to my father about it. I said, Dad, what do you think about this? The girl tell me she ain't gonna be here when I get back if I go to my bachelor party. He said, well, son, the way you start a relationship, that's the way it's gonna end. So, you know, if you the man, she the woman, if you gotta obey everything she says, then it ain't gonna work out. So I made up my mind to go to the bachelor party. When I got back, I found out she was gone to Texas. It was 7 years from that day to the time I saw her again. She was married with a child, and I was married with a child. And I had said to myself then, I said, Lord, this had to be your plan. because we had purpose from junior high school all the way through high school that we would be married. And I still care for her. And she hurt me so deeply. But in that hurt, God showed me that he was stronger than any hurt that I could ever bear. Because from that hurt, I got involved with a relationship that I never thought I'd have, a person that I never seen before. But when I met her, it was something that sparked in me. I didn't realize it at the time, but her father was my pastor. It was a church I was attending when I got out of the Marine Corps. Her father was my pastor. And I met her. She came in from Washington, D.C. with her sister one day. And I met her at the church. Just a smile, just a hello that turned out to be a lifetime of 45 years later. That I realized that God has a plan when we're broken and distraught of bringing us back together, uniting us with ourselves and with him. And I never thought it would be that way. I never thought it would be so plain and so simple. But from that day that I met her, we started to grow together. We started to do things that I never thought I'd do. I got involved in the church. I started mentoring the younger people. I started doing things that I never saw myself doing. I thought I'd always be caught up in the auto industry, in the hot rod and race cars and stuff of that nature. But it all changed. And God has that ability to change even the brokenhearted, the downtrodden, those that don't even have the intention of doing right. God has the ability to change it. And I say to anybody that's struggling with any kind of relationship, any kind of doubt, any kind of disability, anything that seems unreal and undoable, God can make it doable. I trusted in him, and he changed my very life. Now I'm 3 children later, happy, and I don't think I could do without this woman. And when I think about my past relationships, my past hurts, nothing can compare to what God can do. Nothing can compare. So with that being said, every life has turns, downturns, side turns, and upturns. But I want to tell you that if you just depend and trust in God, your life can change. He can make your bad days your best days. And that's my story. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. Find Men of Faith on social media. Just Google us.